Today I'd like to cover some of the psionics that was in the Dark Sun game setting that we used, and it's got this box here of artwork on it. This is the second printing of the Dark Sun set, which was different from the first, but it does come with this excellent psionics system. A couple of my players were afraid of it, and there's really nothing to be afraid of. It's actually easy. All you have to do is read it. We copied it for everybody and handed it around. It's also the same system as in this book, which is Dungeons and Dragons, Player's Options, Skills and Powers. It's in the back of the book. Some of the powers are not listed in this book, in which case some of the other books will have to be procured, which is the complete book of psionics. And there's actually a book I don't have either, and we had to ignore a few of the types of powers which was within it, which was one of the hardcover books for the Dark Sun game system. But we still have most of them. Most of them are listed in that complete book of psionics. So here we go. You're going to see it's fairly easy. All right. So the first thing you need to do is decide if you're building a psionicist or somebody who has secondary powers, and we call them a wild talent. Pretty easy. So right here it tells you the beginning of what to do and what to look for. Some of the classes and some of the races get bonus when it comes to psionics. But we're going to cover a wild talent and a psionicist here who have the same stats. Strength 14, intelligence 16, wisdom 15, dexterity 9, constitution 16, charisma 8. The only ones that we need to keep track of for this system is intelligence, wisdom, and constitution. So for the wild talent, which is right here, we're going to cover his mental armor class, which is nothing more than the defense he has from being psionically attacked himself. There are proficiencies which will improve this, but for our guy, we're going to say that he does not have that. Now, he's got an intelligence of 16, a wisdom of 15, which will not help him, and he's got a constitution of 16. For his MAC, his mental armor class, this here says he, for an example character would have a wisdom score of 18, which wields a base MAC of 7. Ours does not have that. Ours has a 16, so his base is 9. And this right here, I believe, only uses wisdom and then intelligence. So he's going to have, a total of 9. Our psionicist, on the other hand, also has the proficiency of mental armor, which gives him a +2 on his mental armor class. So that's going to give him 7. So right there, our psionicist is already a little bit better than our wild talent. If this was a character, say a fighter who picked mental armor, he'd only get +1. But you can choose this a few times. Of course, at the beginning of the game, you don't want to waste your proficiencies on something that you're not going to be using. You want to increase your fighting ability. So I don't ever tell players to do something so rash. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding out what our wild talent, what ability he has. Let's see here. I'm turning the pages. Okay, wait. No, we're not here yet. Or did I pass it? Here we go. So there's a table, and unfortunately, for wild talents, they don't get to choose what ability they have, and most of the time they're not able to pick more than one ability ever. This is just like dabbling in psionics for them. Something enough to give them defensive points and maybe one cool ability that they can use throughout their career. So what I like to do is I like to give my players 2 rolls and then to pick the one they want. So we have 32 and 27. So pretty close together. So we have something called soften, and we have aging. Aging sounds pretty cool, especially for somebody who only has one thing. If you could make an opponent age, that's pretty cool. And something that might not work often. And the reason they probably have soften as 2 different scores there, 26 and 27, is that it might be less useful. But that's up to the player to decide. So we're going to take, I think we're going to take soften. And let me see if it's in the back of the book. That's under psychokinetic devotions. So we go to the back of the book. Psychokinetic devotions. We will go to soften. So it's right here, and we see that it has a MAC of 8. So MAC of 8. I'm just going to write it down here. MAC of 8, and for our fledgling psionicists and wild talent, they will need to roll the same kind of thing to get that. So the score that they'll have to roll will be a base, let's see, I think it's 12. Okay. All right. Let's see. And we'll also, if it's in the book here, I'm not going to be hunting around for all this stuff here. Psychometabolic. Let's see, psychokinetic. There we go. Create, control. Wait a minute. All right. Well, let's see. Is it here? Is it here? I should have picked this out ahead of time. Well, it's not here. So all we know about it so far is that let's see. All we know about it so far is that it uses 3 points to activate, and you still use 1 point if it fails. All right. All right, next I'm sorry for wasting your time. All right, so next we are going to, if I can get back there, there we go. All right, so next we're going to roll for beginning PSPs. PSPs are psionic strength points that the wild talent and the psionicist will get at the beginning of their careers. So after they figure out what powers they have. By the way, the psionist will get a lot more powers. He starts off with, I believe, 2 or 3 really good things. And not only that, he gets to choose. I just rolled that for the wild talent. So there's a big difference right away, right there. So for PSP, the wild talent, they get enough PSPs to use his power or powers once. So he's going to get 3 points because we know that soften needs 3 points to activate it. So having done that, he gets plus, let's see, he gets plus 10 PSP points automatically. And because his intelligence and constitution are high enough, right here, we know that he has 16, so he's going to get a total of plus 2 more. So he's going to get 13, 15 plus die 4 at start, and we'll roll that. So he gets 17 points. And we're just going to put that here. So he gets 17 points at start. And that means that he can he can use Soften several times during, say, a combat, or per day, or each time in between rest breaks. For him, going on in his career, he earns, let's see, what was it? I thought I was prepared here. Each level, just again, he's just a dabbler. He will only earn 4 PSPs for every level he advanced. So next level, he'll go up to 21, then 25, and so on. His THACO, or M-THACO, which is to hit someone's mind, is 20. With a plus 1 to hit because of his 16 intelligence. After that, he can use several, as he's going up levels, he can use several proficiencies to increase his ability, and so on and so forth. I just want to say one thing. He needs to buy contact at the beginning to affect someone else's mind. And what I mean by this is there are 5 attacks and 5 defenses in the game to start with. Now, these attacks may or may not work on several creatures in the game, but they work mostly on all PCs and all NPCs in the game. And usually the wild talent will only get 1 or 2 of these during his career. The first one is Ego Whip. The second one is Id Insinuation. The third is Mind Thrust. The fourth is Psionic Blast. And the fifth is Psychic Crush. Now, all of these use different amounts of PSP. They can do mental damage. They can do physical damage. But they all use different amounts of points, and they all can be stopped with certain defenses. Either a natural defense from a creature, or sometimes you can use defenses. Each player will also get defenses, and these are the defenses right here. I'll cover those now. So one is called Intellect Fortress, Mental Barrier, Mind Blank, Thought Shield, and Tower of Iron Will. These do not have a big write-up because they're basically used, you throw away points on them, and they just stop. Or if, unfortunately, you pick the wrong one, they can actually add to the attack roll of an enemy. There's a chart here telling you which ones work best against which. The negative modifiers, like, say, Tower of Iron Will is excellent against Mind Thrust, and Intellect Fortress is excellent against Ego Whip, and so on and so forth. The cheaper ones do not have the higher modifiers. In other words, you're going to have to use, say, 8 points or 6 points during the round, and you can tell the DM, you can even put a sheet upside down to make sure the DM doesn't know what you're using, as long as you flip it over as the attack comes. So I made these like card stock things for exactly that reason. Not that I don't trust my players, but it's just that you need something like that to keep the game honest. So we're going to go back. So for Psionicist, rolling for PSPs, he is a little bit different. He gets 15, and just like our wild talent buddy here, he gets +1 from his intelligence. He gets +1 con, and he also gets to roll 1d6. So he doesn't get any bonuses like the other guy did, but he's going to earn a lot more over his career. He gains the bonuses down below here, plus he gets to roll more dice to get more PSP points as he goes along in his career. So 16, 17, and then we'll roll here. I rolled a 6. 23. So right away we see a difference here. His 23 versus the 17. Plus he's going to get a few more different types of attacks, and he's going to get more powers. So in the long run, he will outperform the wild talent guy by a lot. For him gaining PSPs, again, his THAC0 is equal. It's the only time it'll be equal at start. Right away, his THAC0 will begin to drop. If I can get it here. Oh boy. Maybe I didn't go the right way. There we go. Here's the THAC0 tables for each of the characters. So, okay, yeah, there's the THAC0. All right, so there's the THAC0 up above for his physical attacks. The middle chart tells of the Psionicist M-THAC0, in other words, his mind attacks. And you can tell, like, say, by level 6, the M-THAC0 for the Psionicist is 15, and the M-THAC0 for the Wild Talent is still 18. So somebody just dabbling, they do not have the same proficiency as a Psionicist does. It has, all the saving throws and everything else here. It has what you need to advance in experience levels. And it tells, this book here, it's very thin. It tells the player and the DM what armor and weapons he can use and so on and so forth. So, let's see. I don't know. I've pretty much, I want to say this, that most opponents with no psionics will be naturally from Mac 10, which is the worst mental armor class you can have, to about a 7. Monsters can have better, depending on their intelligence and their physical prowess. In other words, their constitution. It all depends on what the DM grants them to have. Some of the books will tell the DM what they have, but some of the other books, not so much. The DM has got to kind of think on it a little bit and assign a score to them. It means extra work, but it's not that hard. I ran this campaign for 2 years, and it was pretty good. So I hope you learned a little bit about psionics. In one of the pages, it tells you maybe what the percentage is for psionicists and for wild talents in the other worlds. It's not very good at all. For someone like in Greyhawk, depending, of course, on their intelligence and all that, they might only have like a 6, 7, 8% chance of getting psionics when they start. It's difficult, and monsters are the same way. So a psionist that's running around loose in Greyhawk, especially 2 working together, would be difficult for a dungeon master. But I would say that the dungeon master every once in a while is going to roll up a good psionist monster and keep things equal. You should always have something, going on as far as for the Psionics to do. You don't want to make them bored, but you want the other characters, you don't want them to suffer as well. You want things to be, I would say, fairly equal. I'm not getting the word I'm looking for, but I hope you enjoyed this, and good day.